Valley Maniacs and Jiu Jitsu fans, hello, my name is Paul. I'm also known as ValleyFlyin on this channel. Now, normally on this channel, what we're covering is a Marvel video game I play known as Marvel Strike Force, but I've also been practicing Jiu Jitsu for almost 3 years now, and this past Saturday was my third tournament that I've ever done, second as a blue belt, and was a fun one, a very good learning experience. And what I wanted to do is show my matches and provide some commentary. Now, keep in mind that I'm a blue belt, so my technique is at a blue belt level, and my knowledge and understanding of jiu-jitsu is at a blue belt level. So if you know more about jiu-jitsu than I am and some of this stuff you disagree with, I'm a blue belt. Keep that in mind. So let's go in and take a look at the matches. Now, I do want to point out how nervous I was going into this because I did have surgery on my shoulder from injury that I had preparing for my last tournament back in February. I didn't get to compete in that one. So this is my first one back. Had about two and a half solid months of training post-surgery before this tournament. So it was feeling pretty good, but at the last second, my opponent in my weight division dropped out. Masters 3, competing in the 41 to 45 is where I was supposed to be in that heavyweight division, but dropped out. So I dropped down to the Masters 2, which is the 35 to 40-year-olds, I think. Anyway, different division. So I was very nervous going up into this and really getting to my head. And that's still stuck with me all throughout warm-ups. I even sent out a tweet that how nervous I was going into this match. But let's just, enough with the commentary. Here we go. Let's get this started. So, yeah, I met these guys beforehand in the bullpen. And I like to introduce myself to my opponents just so in case they get a submission, instead of cranking on it, they'll just squeeze on it. I can tap, give me time to tap. So I like to be friendly with my opponents just because you never know what's going to happen. All right, so this guy is, yeah, so we shake hands and immediately, boom, he gets a grip on my sleeve right there. And this kind of throws me off because a lot of the stuff that I was preparing for, I wanted both of my grips. So I go for his collar here, trying to break his base down. And I'm trying to get this other sleeve here is what I want. One of the throws I was working on was getting this sleeve here. So I'm trying to get that. He immediately pulls guard and actually does a really good job of sweeping me there. So we go back and this foot gets outside of my foot there. And he has a grip of my collar. He then, where is it? I'm trying to navigate this, but there we go. Yeah, so he sweeps, he goes down and sweeps. And then gets the sweep. I lose my base. I'm trying to get my base. I actually want to drive my right knee down to the ground, but he covers that quickly and sweeps me. I'm trying to get out of mount there. He mounts me really quickly after that sweep, getting back to half guard, back to a safer position. And I eventually try to take his back. I'm trying to get this underhook here, work that on that far side to take his back. And he gets his hips high to avoid that. So I pull guard and I'm trying to work my collar choke here. So immediately go with this right hand. I threaten an armbar a little bit, but my armbar is a little weak. And one of the big holes in my game I noticed is my guard work is just not very threatening. Working this collar choke, get that second hand in, try to pull him down. He bases out and I don't work that. So now I work the other side. He's blocking my hand here. Very, very strong guy. That's one thing I noticed. I couldn't move a lot. He's really pinning my hips down and blocking my hand there. So I can't really do what I want. I like this first hand in. So I throw this second hand in, my left hand in as the first choke hand. Normally I like to start with the other side. But yeah, then it looks like I'm still going for the choke. I pull his arm through to try to take his back. He counters that. I try to go at hip pump sweep. I don't notice that he bases out in his with this arm here. I'm just trying to get his hips down. Then that's one of the things I noticed with this. He keeps basing out with that right hand to prevent me from fully sweeping him. Didn't notice that till afterwards. I did notice that many times that I kept doing the same thing after this match though. And I was still trying to work that collar. And I sweep him again, and finally I see, oh, he's basing it with his hands. So I gotta block that his hand if I do that. I'm still trying to work the choke, bringing his posture down, and just trying to look for something. My guard game really exposed the deficiencies in this with this tournament here. So yes, I'm still looking for an armbar on the far side there, in that collar choke in there, and now it's kind of deep actually. But he's doing a good job getting his, keeping his head away from my chest there. If I could get both those grips in, break his head down to my chest, then there's a good chance of finishing it. But he's keeping it away, and yeah, I couldn't really get any momentum. He was a strong guy. All right, getting this first hand again, working that choke on the other side, and he pulls out away and pushes me down. He's not really trying to pass. I'm trying to work some submissions, but wasn't really working a lot of guard stuff, and that was really exposed here and how limited my game was once we get to guard. So yeah, going after his collar again. Yeah, he's pinning my hand, so it's really limiting my movement. I see his arm up. I throw my leg over to try to do a triangle, but he passes and actually doesn't all the way pass. Gets a half guard, doesn't fully pass my guard. So now what I'm doing is digging for this underhook on this side, this leg. I'm trying to come around to take his back, but I need to switch my hips. My hips are flat on the ground. I need to get them out on this side. So I'm trying to wiggle out with my hips to try to get them out, but he's pinning my shoulder down. So I can't really get out on this side to take his back. So then I switch it up. I switch my legs, and now I start to try to get this leg here, my left leg under his what is his? That's his right. So my left leg under his right leg to get him back to full guard. So I'm trying to pin this leg here with this one, trying to get a good hold on this, or he's going to pass me. So I'm trying to get a bite with this leg. Now I can get it, and I've got back to full guard, and I do that sweep again as soon as I go, because his base was off, but he bases out one more time with that right arm. And yeah, I didn't notice all this stuff at the time. Now, I'm looking over at this point, I'm looking over my coach, and he's saying, I got to go now, because at this point, running out of time, I'm down 2-0 because he had that sweep in the beginning. So now I just start to go for something, try to make something happen. So I grab his collar, I put my feet on his hips, and I try to get a sweep here with something. I'm not really very well versed with guard stuff, but his sweep comes down. He passes my feet, but I still have that collar grip. So I try to yank him down, and boom, I do break his base, but he recovers very, very quickly. I try to get back on top, and he scrambles. He wins the scramble and is able to push me back down and actually recovers into guard. Now, this is where it gets a little weird because technically in Jiu-Jitsu, I wasn't really knowing how the score works, but I looked this up after the fact. To get a position, you need to hold it for 3 seconds. So he actually gets mount. But if we count the seconds, his knee hits around 1, 2, and right there, it's close to 3. He probably got mount, but I got the quarter guard, and as the ref comes around on this side, there's a quarter guard again. So very questionable. I guess if the ref was counting slower, it could have been counted as not mount, but now I'm in trouble. Now he got mount. Now he just scored 7 points on me because of that. So I got to really make something happen. I'm running out of time, and I'm just trying to stay safe. So what I'm actually doing is moving my hips out to the other side so I could upa him right there. And I get on top, and unfortunately, just not enough time. My guard work was not enough. You see, I got the 2 points there, but he's already up 9 at this point. And boom, I get my base. So he tries to sweep me at this point. So he tries to sweep me. And as you see, the ref right there, right around there, when he tries to sweep me there, I grab onto his collar and pull it down so he can't sweep me. But as you see her looking over, the time expires and she calls it right there, and that is the match is over. So at this point, really, really upset. I felt I could have done better. Very, very sloppy play inside of guard, and just very disappointed because I knew at this point gold was out of the equation. We had 3 people in our bracket, and we're doing a round robin. So now it's his turn to have a match with the 3rd person in the bracket, and he does. And the 3rd person in the bracket annihilates him, and it was he gets. I think he won 14-0. There was there was 2 deep Ezekiel's, 2 deep, or at least 1 deep arm bar. So now I'm in my head at this point. I'm thinking I had such a bad match, very depressed, and I don't know. Thinking, looking at this after the fact with myself, calm down of that first match. There was some things I did well. There was some submissions I attempted. Wasn't really in danger, and I ended the match on top. So if there was some particular different way of scoring, or the ref looked at that mount a little slower, maybe I would have won that first match. But at the end of the day, it's that ref's opinion that counts, and this scoring was what it was. It was what was agreed upon before the match. So I ended up losing. Anyway, I'm in my head though. I'm thinking, man, I'm very upset, very depressed. I'm like, man, I did all this work and I just lose like that. This sucks. And now I see this guy demolish the first guy that I beat 14-0. I'm like, man, that guy is good. I'm gonna get wiped out. Getting into my head. But I thought, all right, I came here for these matches. I got to do these matches. And yes, so I don't know, still very nervous. He starts backing up though. I'm trying to get a grip, walking around. I'm keeping my hips back to, because I don't know if he's a wrestler, if he's going to shoot on me. But now I get my grip. Now I know that the shot is a little less likely because I have my grip. So I'm trying to break his base down, and he doesn't like that. Pulls guard. This time, I actually don't get swept, though. I think one of the big things in that key match was I got swept so early, and that gave him the points, and I was playing from the bottom. This time, I keep my balance, though. And actually, interesting thing here, as soon as I went down, for some reason, I was seeing stars. And it's like, what is happening? Nothing really happened in the match, as you can see. So one of the things leading up to the match was I was working my breath, and my training partners were pointing out how I was holding my breath. So I was wondering if, thinking back on it, wondering if during that stand-up I was holding my breath or something, and I don't know. But right now I'm seeing stars. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm just trying to break my base, just trying to keep my base here balanced, and yeah, trying to see if I could get that knee over, passing on towards the right, but I take this hand out, protect the hand on the other side, and then try to get under his leg just for a number one pass. I get under the thigh here, and I grab his collar with my thumb in, and I really start driving down. Now, what I want to do, he wants to get this knee out and then get it under my hip to reestablish guard. So I really got to keep this right hip of mine tight on his right hip and make sure that everything is tight before I let it go. And as soon as I get to side control, he starts framing on my neck with this hand here, and I feel him pushing on my neck with that. So what I do is I pop his elbow up, and I drive my head right into his shoulder here to start to look for a head and arm choke. And there we go. Now I'm starting to look for the head and arm choke, but he gets his elbow back, so don't really have a head and arm choke. So I get my hand there, put it on his hip, and I try to go to mount. But as soon as I try to go to mount, he rolls with this underhook here to try to flip me over. But because I had that knee on belly, or because I started to do that knee on belly, I was able to base out with this right leg and with this right arm there. So he wasn't able to flip me. And I start to drive this shoulder down to try to flip him back. This leg is a little deep. I started to go I started to sink that hook in for the back, but yeah, that underhook is really screwing me up. I need to get out of that underhook to take his back, wanting to get that leg out so I can establish mount. He tries to sweep me this way, but this elbow prevents me from getting swept on that way. Now I need to get that leg out so that I could establish mount. So I push off of that elbow there, and boom, now we're in mount. And I start immediately going for this collar choke with this right hand on that side. So I start my collar choke, get the start to work that, start to get that second hand in. He blocks it, and as this hand comes out to block, I switch my grip to a under thumb, or I don't know, so to the thumb in grip. He doesn't like that because it threatens the Kimura, and he tries to open me. I immediately take the hand out of his collar that I was working that choke on so I can base so I don't get swept. And I keep the mount there. And instead of keeping his back to the mat, he immediately goes to turtle. And now I'm like, oh, I gotta keep these hooks in so I don't get pushed off, because risk when he goes to turtle of me sliding off of his back. So I need to get lower, because right now I'm a little high. So I dig for the underhook on this side to get him a little lower and push him back down. And what I'm thinking at this point is I want to take him onto my side so I can start to work a choke. But I hear my coach saying, take him at the worst position. And at our academy, worst position is when you're on the person's back and they're belly down. We call that worst position because in a fight, if you're in that position, you can just rain down elbows and punches and things like that. So yeah, that's the worst position. So he's telling me to take him into the worst position. So I take him there, and I need to flatten out his hips. So I need to get heavy with my hips, and now I can start to work the choke. So I'm working, trying to get a collar on this side to get a collar choke. And I get that, but what happens is he feels that I'm going for that choke and gets his hand out and grabs my sleeve right there. And now I don't really have anything and I'm risk of getting rolled there. So what I do is with this hand, I stick that in his collar and I base out on my head so that he can't roll me. And I just, because I'm kind of losing the position, I just start squeezing on both of those collars to threaten a choke there. It's not a very solid choke. It's not one that has a high percentage of finishing if the guy is over a white belt, but it's not even one that was set up. But just because I was at risk of losing the position, I do that to threaten the position. That allows me to, that breaks the grip on my sleeve that was stopping that roll. So now I can get back to turtle and I can start to break his base down again. So I dig for both underhooks so I can flatten him out. So I want to flatten his hips out again. And now that I have both underhooks there, I need to get one hand out so I can choke him. So now I'm trying to free my hands there. Now I free that right hand there, and I start to dig for the choke on this side here. He turns to his side, and I start to threaten the arm bar here if he keeps turning, and he senses that, so he goes back to turtle, and now I got to get him, break him back down. So I go both underhooks again, and I try to flatten his hips out, try to break his base, and now I grab both his wrists, and he's flattened out. I've got my hands out. Now I've got to start to dig for a choke, and I still want an underhook because I'm still at risk of getting thrown off because he keeps going towards mount. And at this point, you see me, I look up at the clock at this very close. I'm trying to get this right hand in under his collar here to get this side of the collar so I could get that choke. And yeah, this is the point I look up. I look at the clock because I'm super tired. I'm like, man, I'm dead tired. I wasn't really not having good issues with my stamina leading up to this. So stamina was one thing I was really not confident in. But you see his head is red here because I look down at him and I hear him breathing hard. I'm like, man, I'm tired, but I got a good position. He's way more tired than me. So I'm like, let's finish this. So I really dig that right hand in to get that choke deep. And then what I need to do is get this hand on the other lapel. So it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing here of the narration. So I got that hand in, it's nice and deep there. And then now I'm just trying to get that second hand on this collar. And as I establish, and I'm just working the choke, trying to get my hands set into position for the collar. And as you see, once I start squeezing, you'll see his legs start to go up a little. I'm just trying to get my hands where they need to be. Just relax. I'm keeping pressure with my hips so he can't. And there, I start to get the choke. He starts to go up at this point, and my hands are so deep, I know the choke is finishing. So it's like, let's go up. I'm gonna put my leg around his shoulder, turn it to like a bow and arrow type of lapel choke, and there, my thigh goes over his shoulder there, and at that point it's pretty much done because my hands are so deep. There we go. All right, so win the match, and I'm thinking, oh, I got a bronze because I lost that first match. I didn't even at this point, I'm not even stay for this stuff. I go to shake his coach's hand, like, oh, you got to go back. We got to do the medal. So if you look at my reaction here, I'm just like, all right, let's just shake hands and then go. So I immediately go to his coach's corner to I shake his hand, and then I go to the coach's corner to shake his hand. So yeah, at this point, I'm in my head, I'm thinking I got bronze. One of my friends comes up and tells me, oh, you got silver. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I was still distraught over that first match, not winning that first match. And then they said, hey, because you got a sub, they gave you they're gonna give you the gold. And apparently my coach had to go and fight with them because they were gonna add up the points. They were gonna give me the silver. But they said, why are you adding the points? He had a submission. They're all 1-1. They're not, none of them were 2-0. So they're like, oh, you're right. They scratched everything out. It's like, all right. So I ended up getting the gold. So it was a good day. It was a fun day. Did some good things, learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and yeah, we're gonna be back. So next one, I think we're gonna shoot for the January for the next one. I gotta clear up some holes in my game. I gotta get my guard a little better, but that's it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully you enjoyed my blue belt level commentary of this match. If you enjoyed this, we will be putting up jiu-jitsu videos from time to time, and if you want to see more Marvel Strike Force content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give me that Hulk fist bump before you go, baby. Oh yeah, ValleyFlyin out.